Is Mojtaba Khamenei now calling the shots on exactly how Iran's war with the United States will unfold from this point onward? Is Iran preparing to unleash another wave of strikes despite Donald Trump's sudden decision to pause military operations against Tehran? Is Iran plotting to plunge the Gulf into total chaos, even as Washington appears increasingly desperate to restart diplomatic talks? The US cannot decide war or peace. Iran delivers its strongest warning yet, directly challenging Donald Trump's latest strategy. With American troops taking repeated blows across the Gulf, is Donald Trump now being forced to push for peace instead of prolonging the conflict? Despite the United States pausing its strikes in hopes of reviving negotiations, Iran appears determined to pursue a very different course of action. Reports have emerged claiming Iran will continue raining missiles across the Gulf despite Washington's decision to temporarily halt its military campaign. Iran has reportedly ruled out waiting any longer for revenge and is instead preparing to move decisively into what it calls an offensive phase. The remarks were reportedly made by Iranian parliament member Fateh Hossein Maleki while outlining Tehran's evolving military posture. The Iranian official firmly rejected the prospect of further peace talks with the United States and instead vowed that more attacks would follow. Maleki also warned Gulf nations that they could soon face devastating blows delivered by Iran's armed forces, according to reports. Iran's army, along with the country's broader armed forces, remains on the highest level of alert while preparing for possible future strikes. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry has categorically rejected suggestions that any negotiations with the American side are currently underway. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghaei insisted that Iran never made the first move to resume diplomatic contacts with U.S. officials. Iran also made it unmistakably clear that Mojtaba Khamenei will not allow America to dictate either the timing of war or the conditions for peace.
We consider the United States responsible for the military aggression against Iran, the military aggression that began on February 28, and of course, we cannot overlook the participation of some countries in the region in this military aggression. From the outset, we have said that we have no involvement in the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. This action by Ukraine was also an absolutely illegal and unjustified act, contrary to the Charter of the United Nations, and a dangerous act of adventurism that will certainly not go unanswered by us. We have never allowed and we will never allow the United States to determine when there is war or peace. We will defend ourselves whenever our interests require it, whenever our circumstances require it. Whenever we believe we can use diplomacy as a tool to safeguard our national interests, we will certainly use it as such. These are negotiations between Iran and Oman. Several rounds of negotiations were held on Friday and Saturday. They were useful negotiations on how to manage the passage of shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. No, do not pay much attention to the media speculation. As I said, we currently have no negotiations with America. The negotiations that we have, and which may genuinely be subject to different interpretations, are the negotiations we have with Oman. They are focused on creating the necessary arrangements regarding the Strait of Hormuz.
Iran's remarks come after Donald Trump paused U.S. strikes following 13 consecutive nights of sustained military attacks. Trump reportedly suspended the bombing campaign to give Oman and Iran an opportunity to hold negotiations focused on the Strait of Hormuz. However, fresh reports have also emerged suggesting American troops are confronting an increasingly serious munitions crisis as the conflict drags on. Donald Trump rejected reports claiming the U.S. was running low on munitions during the conflict, dismissing the assessments as inaccurate. Trump said the United States possessed far more munitions than any other country and more than it currently required. Earlier, the Wall Street Journal reported General Dan Kane had warned senior officials about declining U.S. air defense interceptor stockpiles. Meanwhile, Qatar and Oman discussed diplomatic efforts aimed at implementing the recently announced U.S.-Iran Memorandum of Understanding. Qatar urged all parties to pursue dialogue and safeguard freedom of navigation through the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. As diplomatic contacts resumed, Al Arabiya reported China worked with Pakistan to help revive U.S.-Iran negotiations. Axios reported that CENTCOM chief Brad Cooper also urged ending strikes around Hormuz after the campaign had reached its objectives. According to Axios, Cooper assessed that the operation had significantly degraded Iran's ability to conduct maritime attacks. Cooper reportedly said most designated military targets had already been exhausted during Operation Epic Fury, Axios reported. Without launching a broader new offensive, Cooper reportedly concluded that extending the bombing campaign would serve no meaningful military purpose, Axios reported. The Strait of Hormuz remains the biggest flashpoint in the escalating confrontation between America and Iran, with tensions continuing to rise by the day. On July 26, the IRGC Navy claimed that 6 vessels were prevented from crossing the Strait of Hormuz during a fresh maritime operation. The IRGC further alleged that the halted vessels were issued a firm warning before being forced to remain anchored in the strategic waterway. This came as a senior Iranian official declared that the Strait of Hormuz remains firmly under the complete control of the IRGC Navy. An Iranian parliament member boldly claimed that the Strait of Hormuz would remain under Iran's control forever, regardless of outside pressure. Aliaddin Borajerdi also asserted that the Bab al-Mandab Strait would continue to remain under Yemeni control despite mounting regional tensions. Iran and America's Arab ally Oman held fresh discussions on July 25 over shipping security and maritime movement through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's foreign ministry revealed that the discussions with Oman were constructive, adding that both sides made measurable progress during the latest round of talks.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets tides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth?
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.